So today we have to discuss about the authentication. So what are the ways of authentication and its modules and chains, and other is like main topic is the intelligent authentication. That the trees authentication trees we have called the intelligent way of authentication. They have provided, ForgeRock have provided recently. So, and we are we'll make some hands-on on trees. So we'll create a tree over here like that, and we'll try to authenticate with the tree. Then we'll discuss about the multiple factor authentication and how the ForgeRock, what are the different types of multi-factor authentication in ForgeRock. And for that also, for one of them, we will create a tree for that. So how we will set up a multiple factor authentication using authentication trees. So that's we are going to discuss in couple of classes now. Okay. So fine. Okay. So now initially for the first part for the AIM authentication, as I'm discussing, so there's a two ways ForgeRock provides to do the authentication. First, authentication modules and chains. I'll show you on the ForgeRock site as well. And second, authentication nodes and trees. Okay. So if I show you on the ForgeRock site. Okay, so this one, we go to the authentication. These are the chains and modules, right? This is able to authenticate. So these are the modules, the authentication modules that we are used for the identifier for the user. So like data store, one-time password, LDAP. Also, they have provided these modules and chains to authenticate the user with these modules, and they use create a module over there, and they used in a chains to authenticate. Just a second.
Authentication is one of the module in AM.
That is the different term to say. So authentication is a feature. One of the ForgeRock access management authentication is a feature inside the ForgeRock. So inside authentication, they have different modules. That there's a
I
two.
see.
Yeah, there's a two ways in a two-way authenticate in ForgeRock AM. First is authentication via trees. The one is this one via this, right? So which we are going to perform and test it. Okay, we will create a tree with train. I'll just show to you. And other way is authentication module and chains. So the authentication module and chains, this is the old way of authentication. So and chain. So these one combine in one. So we create a modules and we add those modules in the chains. So over here. So that to set up the authentication via chains, authentication chains that we say in ForgeRock. So, but what now ForgeRock is saying, so ForgeRock is saying they are replacing the authentication by module and chains. They are replacing with the authentication nodes and trees. So they are saying it is recommended. So whenever you set up authentication or multi-factor authentication, you should set up via authentication nodes and trees, because they will remove the authentication modules and chains in future. So that's the authentication trees that we call them the intelligent authentication. Because why it's called intelligent authentication? Because here in modules and chains we can't customize the flow, right? But in trees we can customize all our flow. So if you click on this example one, right? If you see, we have the multiple nodes over here, right? These LDAP node, password, success. For multi-factor authentication, we have different nodes. And I'll show some of them when we test it, risk, behavioral. So that's why it's called the intelligent authentication, because we can create our authentication process by hand. It's like a workflow. To create authentication means which requirement we need, how many like while setting a authentication, we want to set the push authentication, right? Where somebody try to log in, and then the second authentication will be the push. Some message will be sent to the other application, other app, and he will perform. Okay, like you see now in banking application, some of them. I have seen that in Citibank, like they whenever user logs in, they send some authentication verification to the user mobile app, and from there they logged in and they like click on accept. Correct. So that's the called the push authentication. So we can set that type of authentication in via trees. Okay, we can set up the authentication when there is a ForgeRock authenticator app separately. I'll come to that, where you can scan the barcode, and after scanning it, the OTP will comes, but on the ForgeRock authenticator app, and from then once it's set up, you can use that one to verify the user identity. So we can configure everything this via authentication trees. Okay.
So in authentication, we have a modules, chains, modules, settings, trees, and webhooks, correct?
Yeah.
So in that, what is the authentication? Authentication is one of the ForgeRock and part, or
What are you saying? Authentication is the
uh, uh, sorry, what is the this in ForgeRock authentication one of the
one of the
part, or can
feature.
I one of the feature only, na? Okay,
Yeah, one
okay,
of the feature.
okay,
Like
okay,
authentication is one of the feature. Yeah.
okay, one of the feature, and in that feature we have these modules, correct?
Yeah, these chain modules. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and flow is like webhooks on top of it, tree on top of it, settings on top of it, modules on top of it, chains. Is it correct, or is there any other way? Is there what I speak to wrong?
No, so what are these are the authentication have these different features, right?
Yes.
Authentication is a feature. Inside authentication, they have provided this chain and module. So this is a one way of authentication. The old way of authentication that ForgeRock used to do, right? And then there is a tree. This is a we call the intelligent authentication that ForgeRock calls, right? How you can set up intelligent authentication. So we set up the intelligent authentication via trees, and this is the webhooks. So that will define the HTTP calls for events. That's cool. But
Okay.
here we will
Okay.
more discuss. Yeah.
Chains and trees both are authentication only,
Yeah.
but
Right.
trees is only the intelligent authentication. Is it correct?
Sorry.
Trees is only the authentication, intelligent authentication. Is it
Yeah.
correct?
Right. Right. Correct.
But chains is just normal authentication.
Yeah, just normal authentication. It's the old way of authentication. So ForgeRock doesn't normally now don't recommend to create your setup. So they have everything moved from chains and modules into the trees. And now you can use trees to set up your authentication and multi-factor authentication.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah.
Can you repeat again? Trees?
Okay, sure. So trees authentication trees is is a setup a way to authenticate the user, right? And is a way to say where we can set up the multi-factor authentication. So how we will set up? So we will create a tree over here. You can say workflow or a tree with the help of the nodes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So in chains there is no multi-factor authentication. In trees we have a multi-factor
no,
authentication. That is
in
the called.
chain, yeah, in chains also we had multi-factor authentication because they moved all those authentication to the trees. If you want to use the chains, you can set up those in chains as well, chain and modules.
By why we call it as intelligent authentication in trees?
So trees has been called intelligent authentication because there you can modify your flow on your hand. So you can customize your flow, your tree. So suppose you have a requirement, you want to set up a multi-factor authentication and you want to set up a retry limit, right? If somebody wants to retry, like you logged in, right? And somebody wants to put the password 10 times, and you want if you put the 11th time, you want the user to block one, right? So you can use that tree for that. So you can set up a single flow where all these things can happen, right? And in the same way, we can do multiple things. Like we can do the password blocking. We can set up the retry limit to us for the password like 3 times, 4 times. It's up to you. Or we can set up a push authentication. And so we have a number of flows, number of nodes which we can use to set up in a trees. So we can create as much as whatever we want. So as per the requirement we got from the client, So we can create use the trees for that. And trees provide us a very flexibility for this authentication, how we want to set up the authentication where change doesn't provide that. So that's why it's called the intelligent authentication.
Okay.
Okay. You'll understand. So once we start working on trees, so you'll understand more. You can in practice. So I will say, so once after this class, you should go and practice the trees, because once it will be very important. So then you will understand how the trees works, right? So you will have I should have a hands-on on that. So that
Sure.
will be very useful also. This is also very important part of the interview. So whenever I go for the ForgeRock interview, they always expect you to know the authentication tree. They always ask you what's the intelligent authentication. You can see we can set up authentication via a tree, authentication nodes and tree. So that's we have called the intelligent authentication. So yeah. Okay. Now let's go and try to, I'll show you some of the nodes over here. So how first I will show you how we can set up a tree over here. So it's just a simple, I can give any name, right? I like my home tree. name. So you can create tree like that. So it will come as a blank, right?
Okay.
Where start is a one node, failure is one node, and success is now one node is given, right?
Okay.
And
These three are the default, right?
yeah, these are the default nodes, right? Which is start as a start node and failure as a failure node. It will give result, right? Success, if everything is gone well, then it's gone success. Okay. And we have some different nodes over here. So I'll describe some of them. I can't describe all of them. You can read for all of them on ForgeRock guide. So whatever the tree I will create for the normal authentication, for multi-factor authentication, I'll show you those nodes. Okay, so when we have come to the authentication node, so where some of the basic nodes these are that will be required in mostly every trees. Okay, so one is page node. So the page node can combine a multiple node that request input to single page for the display of the user. Like for user, and I'll just show to you. So page node would be look like if you have to just search it, page node, and you have search. This is the page node, right? And this is they can combine the combine multiple nodes, and you can put inside drag a node from here, and you can put inside more nodes over here. Okay, like username user collector node. So it will prompt the enter where you can enter the handle the username of the user. Okay, so now if I use the username collector. This is the one username collector node used for basic authentication. Okay, I can put this one into the page node. So what this is called to combine multiple nodes. So it can combine more nodes over here. In the same way, I can get the password collector node where it can where it from the user to enter the password. Okay, so password collector, right? And I can add the password. So these two are nodes I can put in the page node. So we have come as a one single UI page node with a username collector where username collector will collect the username, password collector will check the password. Okay. So now we have come to this other node is data stored decision node. So what the data stored is this check the credentials of the user provided during authentication. You remember like we authenticated through the identities, it's added the identities, the user added the identities, and we created the user or the username and password, right? So this data decision store, whatever the entries have added in our ForgeRock application, it can check the credentials for those users. Okay, so this is a data decision node here, store decision node. Okay, data store decision node. And now other the failure node that we have just seen, this is the failure node, which indicates that your journey ended in failure. Means there is some issue with your application. So you need to check like whatever trees you have created, if it failed, if it goes to this node, it means your tree is not working correctly as per design. And success node means that your tree is a journey got success. So whatever you have created over here, so your tree is fine. Your tree's authentication way is fine. Okay. So now I have I have showed you these nodes. Now I'll combine these nodes to authenticate the user via trees. Okay. Just focus on my line. I'll authenticate the user via tree. Earlier we were authentication the user via ForgeRock URL only, right? Now we will authenticate the user via tree now. How we will authenticate? I'll come to that. First we have to create a tree for that. Okay. So we have collected the nodes which are required to set up the authentication via tree. Okay, so here I'll just start it. So start point to the start nodes, point to the page node. Here it's collect the username and password for the user. The page node will point to the data store decision. Means whatever the username password you will put, it will go to the data store decision. So data store decision will check what are the credentials of the user. Means whatever the username password we are putting, the credentials are fine or not. If the credentials are fine, then it will go to the success, means user will be authenticated. If not, this user will not be authenticated, right? So this is the simple way to create a tree, set up authentication via tree. So I'll save it. Okay, so our authentication tree has been created. Now I'll show you
Small
over. Yeah,
small doubt, Pranay. Can you go ahead to the yeah, this page? Yeah, okay. So start is the one node, right?
yeah, start is a one node, correct?
Page node is the one node.
Yeah, right,
Data store is one node. Failure
correct,
is one node. Success
right,
is one node.
right.
Where is the tree here?
Tree, this is a tree, na?
Okay, a complete word called tree, right?
Yeah, complete for all
Oh,
these
got it.
nodes, we call it
Y-
tree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got it,
This is
Pranay.
a
Thank you.
tree. This is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
tree.
got it. Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
The combination of nodes in a single framework, so called tree. Okay. So this is a tree. Now we have created one tree to set up to authenticate the user. Okay. So
Okay,
this is my authentication tree. Now what I'll do, I'll go and try to authenticate the user with the using this tree. So what I have to do, I have to update my URL. So now this is my URL was there before, right? And now this is the URL I've created, which will authenticate it via tree. So how I will define? So where first, how will I create a URL for that to authentication via tree? First, I have my URL, then in which realm I have created the authentication tree, right? I have created in a top level realm. So top level realm is a root realm. So it will be defined as realm equal to slash means it's a root level realm, right? And service, which service? Service means which authentication tree we are using to authenticate. We are using this myauth tree. So I'll use this myauth tree over here to log. Okay. So this is I have created
okay,
my tree. This is a login. Now I'll go. I have created a tree. Now if I user, let me into new private window. So I'm asking the user to authentication via tree. So if I log in, it should log in. So see. So have been authenticated via tree now. This has been authenticated via tree here. Right. So this one, the authentication, the tree. If there's any issue, like suppose if I make any mistake over here, suppose if I don't put this one, right?
you deleted or that one?
No, I have not deleted. Like suppose if I delete this one, right? And save it.
Okay,
Now let me log out. See, I'm not able to log in. It's giving me error. It
okay,
means that my tree is not working. So as soon as I have been authenticated. Now, one thing is this fine. So now the logs, this to understand the logs also is very important. Okay,
Yes, yes,
so
correct.
correct. So because if any issue come, you can check where it's failing, right? Currently, we have
Yes, yes,
created a
correct.
test from small application, right? So these are the logs keep on updating. Whatever you do in your AM, these logs are keep on updating, right? So any issue come, right? You just come back to the logs and then this come to the authentication.
Where is this folder?
So
Where folder?
yeah, this folder is here. Remember we installed and when we install the DS, right? It shows the URL link to the all this
Okay.
one, right? So here you will see um, this var folder where you have all the installation. I showed you there's one log file created whenever you install the AM, right? So on
Yep.
that one. So here, so it's a debug folder, right? So debug folder which created all the folders for AM. So it's whatever you like authentication. If we have done just authentication, so it will create a authentication over here. And 2339. So currently latest by right. So these you can come and check all these open just wherever you are, you can open it. So
So every node have a particular file.
it's come in either in other logins or authentication. Let me see my logs are currently is, which is enabled or not. So when you have enabled error log enabled, then it will not show much logs. But here I have message warning, right? And it's a debug file. So debug file is like currently what happened is with merge debug files. So it will merge all the logs coming in different folder into one folder. Okay. So currently,
Yeah,
if you
yeah. Just give me 1 minute, please. One
Mhm.
second, please.
Sure.
Yes, Pranay. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah. So see this one. So I have just opened, we are done authentication, right? So any authentication related logs come in authentication, right? We just authenticated with this URL, right? Correct. So now you can
Yes,
see
correct.
it's returning the information regarding that over here. So we can check if any error comes, right? It will print that kind of error over here. So
Yes.
yeah, so we should be like this is the way to troubleshoot any issue in the ForgeRock AM. ठीक है success or failure result outcome true so callbacks null so if any issue you need to check you can check over here all right so this is a way to troubleshoot any issue just check the logs try to read the logs try to reproduce your issue on your ForgeRock and see you're getting the logs for that what the logs are saying so with that you will be able to understand easily. So here, like we have
Yep.
done this authentication tree realm. I told you, na, realm is equal to root realm. So these all will done. Okay, resolved success URL. And and other way is to do so with the authentication part. This one, currently, sometimes it's difficult to check each file, right? So what you can do, you can club all the logs generating into the one file. How you can do that? You can sorry, not this one. You can do that via same one. Go to this deployment general debugging merge debug level logs, debug files into on. So it will create one file where all the logs will be coming and debug level message. Remember that. So this is the by default error one. So if you do for in production, you should be only set error, not message, right? Or warning. Why? Because if you put any message level is very high debug level, so it will put everything. Even if sometimes it puts the username password as well, right? So we don't know to display the user's name or password into the production logs, then because it will be the security challenge. So always remember, never put debug level message in your production environment. You can do in your lower environment, you can update the debug level to the message to check everything in detail, to check the logs in detail. But in production, I will use the error one. Okay. And there's a question then interviewer will ask how you can set up the debug level logs in a ForgeRock. So you will say like you will go to the this deployment server, and then there is a debugging feature over there. There's a debug level, and I can you can set up the debug level message to debug update from any error warning of that you can do. They will
Can you write it
ask.
down? Can you write it down one notes for me? This interview question.
Okay, I have this, I guess, in I somewhere in.
But I have some interviews going on.
Okay, no worries. So let me check if I have written somewhere. Okay, will.
All interview questions I require requesting.
Yeah, whatever I can give you, I'll give. Okay, I'll create a one more and PPT is this PPT. I'll add one section where I'll write all the interview questions side by side.
Uh,
Okay,
awesome. Thank you. Awesome.
that will be better, right? So I'll create
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Not bad. So I'll give you entry question. I'll just telling I'll add it also. So they will ask one question like if you set up the debug, update the debug level messaging in ForgeRock, do you need to restart the ForgeRock services or Tomcat services? So your answers will be no. We don't need to restart the Tomcat services if we need to update the debug level messaging.
I see.
Yeah. Yes. So. And this you can merge them into the one file as well. Currently it's all file. If I go to save changes, you
So whenever debug level, these options are changed, not required to restart the web server. Is it correct?
yeah, right, correct. Okay. So here now if I refresh it, go back and debug it. So see the debug out folder is generated. Just now you can see the timing as well. So now whatever I do, everything, only this file will be updated. Now if I refresh it, I guess this one would be. Let me do some more things. So debugging, message level, changes. um, I update the password. I'll close it. Yeah, I guess it's updating. It's not updating the time, but everything would be start updating in these logs. So it will create this. Okay, what I was saying, so all the whatever the logs were going to other folders, right? So after doing this step here, um, mm, deployment server. So after doing this step, all logs will be coming into this debug.out. And one thing is if you enable the message level, there are a lot of logs keep on generating, and it will take a lot of space. So make sure whenever you done troubleshooting, disable it to the error level message. So not otherwise it will fill up your PC or local disk if you do on your local machine, or if you do any client machine, then it will fill up the space a lot. So then also that issue also it will create due to because it will create a file such a large number if you keep on working that. see that this file is already, I guess, one. So this is a small one, but when we have big application, it will become the big files. So it will be difficult to handle, right?
Okay, when I stop at that one, debug level down.
When you there is no need for troubleshooting, right? So
Okay,
that you can disable to the error one.
okay,
Okay. If you want to see more logs in details, you can enable it to the message one.
okay.
Okay. Otherwise, it will eat a lot of space of your system and CPU utilization as well. So that's also one thing to take care for any client application that using ForgeRock. Okay. So come back to the trees. Integration trees. So we have this one tree. So we are able to create a tree. We are able to create a single set of amendments. We are able to authenticate via tree now, right? So after setting a tree, I have written also the URL how you can test it, right? So multi-factor authentication. Now, what are the ways of this is single authentication, username, password, right? Now we could have requirement come when we need to set up a multi-factor authentication, right? Multi-factor and how we can do in ForgeRock via trees. So that these are three ways to do it in multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication is the authentication techniques that requires the users to do the multiple forms of authentication when they log into the system. So here EM supports these multi-factor authentication protocols. First is MFA, open authentication, OATH, open authentication, which is to enable the one-time password authentication. So we will set up it in coming one. So next tree we will create to how we can set up the multi-factor authentication in our current tree. So this is we will can set up. So for this one, we will need a ForgeRock Authenticator app. Okay, we are
Okay.
yeah.
Is there any? Is it available in Play
Yeah,
Store?
yeah, you can download from if you have Android phone, you can download from Google Play. If it's from Android, you can download from Android. Go and search it now. You will see ForgeRock Authenticate with the ForgeRock sign. It will be there.
Okay.
Search it now. Search it now. I'll just get a glass of water and come back within a minute. With a
Yep.
second.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Downloaded Pranay.
So download it, right? So that is
Yes.
the
Yes.
Authenticator app. So where we will scan the uh, co- scanner, let me say. So one is open authentication that will enable the one-time password that will just do. Other is push authentication to receive the push authentication on device. So in the same device we will use. So it will doesn't you need don't have the OTP. It not receive the OTP. It just receive the accept or remove. So click on accept or remove, that's it. The push authentication we say. And other is web authentication. So enable the web authentication like fingerprint scanner. I guess this one I'm not sure we'll able to test, but will this both I guess we can do. So today I guess we will start with this open authentication to enable one-time password. Okay. So we will set up uh, so open authentication. So, and I'll tell you the because for each one there are different nodes we have to use to set up these.
This is not OAuth, right?
This is not auth. This is
Okay, open
multi-factor
authentication. Okay,
authentication. Yeah, open
okay.
authentication. That is OAUTH.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
So this is that is basically called auth 2. Okay. So here this one, this open authentication modules auth OATH supports the one-time password and time-based password. So one-time password that comes at one time, time-based password, like there is something it's generate after every 60 seconds, right? So when we do, where is my mobile?
Hello.
Yeah. So yeah, I forgot my mobile in my other room. Yeah. Okay.
So MFA is three types, no?
Yeah, so it's a three-type multi-factor authentication that ForgeRock provides. Open authentication, to enable the one-time password that will come in your app. You'll see. Other is push authentication that you'll be able to accept or uh, uh, reject the authentication. So means if you, this will tell that you are the user, so you can accept it. Otherwise, you can reject the authentication as well, right? If it's somebody else is doing that. So this other is web authentication that enables the authentication with any authenticated device, जैसे कि like a fingerprint scanner, right? So these are three types of authentication, multi-factor authentication that ForgeRock provides. So today I guess we can have a time to test open authentication. Understood?
Yeah.
So here, so which node would be required? So this is the auth node in a tree that will be required for registration for this open authentication and to verify the user for that, right? So this ForgeRock authenticator module, this open authentication that supports a one-time password and time-based password. One-time password when it comes at one time, you can use it directly, and time-based, right? It will in your ForgeRock Authenticator app, when we do testing, you will see each time the password will be generating after 60 seconds or some settings that over there. Okay, so
I
you're
see.
able to open the ForgeRock Authenticator, right?
Yep.
So currently, I guess it will be blank, right?
Yes, it's
So,
currently blank. Yeah.
so I'll do it. You can scan it from your system when I show the scan, and it will come in your. So you will see how it looks. Okay.
Just a minute.
So now let's create a tree for the same. So this I'll show you which node we are using for to set up this multi-factor authentication. So if I go, so I need to find this spelling, sorry. OATH. Yeah. So we need to use these two, auth registration and auth token verifier. So I'll use auth token verifier. So you can see it's using this which algorithm TOTP time one time password, time based one time password. So time step interval 3, this one you can set steps, which algorithm you can read that all these, right? And Okay, and this one and other is auth registration. So which we have to set up the multi-factor authentication. That issuer, who is the issuer? The ForgeRock, right? Account username, background there, this their thing, generate recovery codes, one-time password length 6. It's a 6 digit code you will receive, right? Algorithm they are using is their internal algorithm. That's it. So you will use this one. So we have all the settings here. So we need to we are already updating our current tree. I'm not creating any new tree. So we have already create one tree to authenticate the user. Now in same tree, I'm putting the multi-factor authentication feature. Okay.
OATH feature, right? Open
Sorry.
authentication.
Sorry.
Open authentication, right? This one,
Yeah,
MFA.
open. Yeah, we are implementing open authentication.
Yeah,
It will
yeah.
be, you can say one-time password authentication as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you can say one-time password authentication as authenticate with a one-time password.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So the tree would be called if the name, if I give a name this tree, so it will be a tree like how you authenticated with the one-time password. So this is the way you'll authenticate, create a tree for
Okay.
that. Okay.
Okay.
So here, let's I'll get out of fire. So true would be here,
Okay.
right?
Success means success.
Success, yeah, right. So success will go to success,
Failure will
and
go to failure.
yeah, failure will go to failure. Here, false also go to failure in data decision node, and the failure also will go to failure. So we
Failure.
can do the multiple stitching, and not if
Okay.
not registered, then we will register it. And if
So
from registration, success will go to
go
success.
to success and failure will go to failure. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can set up that like that. So, yeah. So I'm just checking true to true, false. Yeah. Yeah. So success to success, failure not registered to register, TOTP. We have selected TOTP. Yeah. Save. Okay. So I have
TOTP means
a time-based one-time password.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So I will now we will test it. So I'll go. mm, where is it?
Check.
Private window. I'm closing it. Okay, so here, we'll open the system.
Pass away.
So I guess this user already I have. I need some new user because I guess I tested with this user before. Mm,
So can I take same user? Can you? Last
yeah,
time we have taken some.
yeah, I can take. I'm just let me check if I have not user because I was just testing before the call. It's private and I keep on closing. We'll authenticate via tree and then we'll do that. Um, okay, I was tested with some of them. Some 1, 2, 3, some Yeah. So can you scan it? Would do it. So this is scanner come after our to set up the multi-factor. So I'll click on, just don't scan it yet. I have to click on a mobile device. So it will, I guess, update and then scan it. Just a
Your
second.
mobile or my mobile?
I'll do it from your mobile. That's fine.
Okay. Can I start?
No, not yet. Just a second. Uh, I guess it will change the, because we have to do it from mobile device. That I guess it will change the QR code. It's just updating if you see the, and can you try now?
Sure. Yeah.
Did you?
212 751.
Okay, you received right? So I'll click on
Yeah.
next. So it's done. So now if I retry it, okay, let me again.
So automatically time is up.
Yeah, right. So that is the time OTP password.
Timeout. 212 751. 212 751.
What's the one? Let's see. What's the
No, no, no,
password?
second one. No, 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 wait. 530931.
530
931.
931. So
One.
see, so your multi-factor authentication has been set up, and we can see this one will be showing. So you can check also the authentication devices for the user over here once it's set up.
Okay.
And the settings, you will see this is enabled. Your default
Okay.
setting is enabled, right? Yeah.
Got you.
You can disable it if you want.
Okay.
Okay, so like if I try to disable it, let's test it this as well. So I'll click on save. So I guess now I have disabled it for the user. Now let me see how it will work. Awesome. 1, 2, 3. Tell me the code.
636
636
257.
257, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Disable, delete. Disable, delete. Okay. Mm.
So
Yeah.
can we log out and log in or not required?
Sorry. So there is another one, the push device that we will test, I guess, tomorrow. So we'll create one more tree for the all the device you have done. So on two ways we'll able to test it. Third, I guess, because we don't have fingerprint scanner or any other outside scanner. So, but I'll show you how that looks, how that tree looks. But I won't able to test much here.
Which one, Pranay? Which one? Second one?
Second one is push device. In the
Okay.
same
Okay.
authenticator app, you will see receive the accept button. So it will notify you to accept it or reject it. Right now you have to put the pass or OTP, right? 6-digit code.
Yes.
Here you
Yes.
don't need to put the 6-digit code. It will just accept or reject. It will be, you will be notified with the button, accept button. If you want to approve it, you can approve it, means accept it, and then if not, you can reject it as well. So that will be the push authentication that we'll say for push device. So that is the second part over here. Push device authentication we will do. Yeah. So you want to try it or one of three? We can try and just want to hands on.
Yes. Yes. I will answer.
Okay. So this is the authentication tree we have discussed. Okay, if I show you these settings also, this is a small thing. So here, these are some authentication settings you can do. So user profile, li, search attribute name. You can add any more attribute, first name, last name, anything. Account lockout. So I was talking to about, right? So via trees also, here also you can do uh, account setup for the login failure. A login account should be 5 times or valid. So these kind of settings you can do wherever it's already written with the information, right? So it will tell what every feature does. So you can read it and so and so like OpenAM tracks failed authentication. If the lockout interval is 5 minutes, so lockout is found. User will have to have failed to 5 time authentication within a 5 minutes, then account will be logged. These settings they provide so you don't have the, because sometimes what there is uh, DDoS attack, right, on a server or something, or brute force attack, like where user keep on updating password, different password, right? Whatever the password is present, whatever the different words, so that user, that application got logged in or authenticated. So there is so to prevent that, usually these settings they are here. So if somebody put in five, if the general user, if you and me like have to put 5 times, so we will take some time, right? If you put 1 or 2 times, we will take a break, think about
Yesterday.
if the password is there, are you putting not a password. But sometimes there is a bot or that brute force method, there's a bot the hackers has created where they put password in each second, every second different password. So if something like that come and they will say okay, it within a 5 minutes they put 5 passwords, so 5 times they try to authentication or 10 times, they will block the user. They will logged out the account, that one. So then this user won't be authenticated unless then administrator need to update his user password details to get authenticated. So these thing all these features are over here just to prevent the users to get attacked by outside hacker or any bad organization. So for the safety purpose on this. This is a general authentication, client sessions. So these are some trees, missions, drop browsing. So these are some of the settings you can use. It depends upon that what are the requirements. So post authentication processing. So these all are the settings in this authentication. So maybe right now we can use default one. But if you want to update your login success login URL, right? So uses you can update this console. Like suppose your success login URL would be right now is our AM console, right? Suppose is somebody other application, right? There is some online application of your company, and after logging in, you want the user want to log into that one, that API. Suppose they have created another UI page, you can give the that success login as soon as user logs in, so he will be forwarded to that a page. So that the default success login URL. Failure login URL you can give. Right now, we if our user doesn't authenticate, it just give the ForgeRock page, right? Authentication error. But you can use some other page, right? Where like a customized page, you can create any customized page from outside, and you can give that URL. So it will hit that URL because it will give you some message, custom message. You are not yet authenticated. Your password is expired or something like that, right? So that kind of failure login URL you can give. So these all these settings you can do over here. Okay. I guess yeah. So these trees, so tomorrow, tomorrow, not tomorrow, Monday. Monday, I guess we will do more practice on, we'll create one more tree for the push authentication. And I'll show you some more. Uh, you can go through all these as well. This uh, yeah, as well. So more trees is already created there, for example, to understand or to, for example, if you need to create, right? So you can go over some of them as well, how they have created. And With the push authentication, we'll update our existing one or create a new tree for the push authentication. And we can, I'll go through some more nodes, which are little important nodes over here, like persistent cookie node or SEP node. There is one inner evaluator. So where we create a tree inside the tree. I'll come to that over. There is an inner tree evaluator. So where we can give one more tree. If we have any other tree names, see, they are the different tree names. I can give tree name inside the tree name. This is also one question from person, like, what is inner tree evaluator? So what is the purpose of the inner tree evaluator? So you can create two trees, and so inside one tree you can give another tree. So like that. Okay. I'll show you an example on that. Okay. Any question on that? Any of this topic today we discussed?
No problem. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay.
So today we
Yes.
discussed in the authentication feature in trees. We have created one node, correct?
Yeah,
One
one tree.
journey,
In tree, we created tree.
one tree. That is
Yeah.
called journey, right?
Sorry.
That is called journey.
Yeah, that is called a tree. You can see tree journey. We created one tree with a set of nodes for the authenticate the user and for the multi-factor authentication.
Yes, yes, yes. What is the journey? Journey is different
Journey,
or it come?
yeah, journey is full from start to end. Success is a
Yeah,
journey.
correct, correct. Yes, yes, correct. Okay, got it.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, just practice
okay.
it,
Sure, sure, sure.
so you'll have little hands on. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,